So, welcome to Time Management, a professor's survival guide, and maybe even a thriving guide if we're lucky. During today's session, we'll be providing a few strategies for you to consider for implementation. And it's important that during this presentation, you consider which of these calls out to you. So, we're asking that you take some notes for your own personal implementation of these ideas, because really what sounds good right now to you may not work for you in the future or in the end. So we want to be sure that you understand that part of this process of thinking about time management is also a process of trial and error to see what works best for you. So Nedra Glover Tawwab, in an August 20th newsletter entitled "Are We Doing Too Much?" states that we have to remind ourselves that we just don't have enough time and that we're not going to get to the end of our to-do list many times. She jokingly states, "I'm going to die with a to-do list." But honestly, that's probably true. There's always something to do. And as soon as we finish one thing, we find something else to add to that list. So we're all in an academic time crunch, right? And as Benjamin Franklin stated, you may delay, but time will not. So what makes our USIS environment so unique? Well, at most universities, especially schools of health professions, you're going to be dealing with demands, and I'm sure you all know this, of teaching responsibilities and clinical duties and research commitments, administrative tasks, and you got all of that work plus your personal life. So, really, how can we thrive in this demanding environment? Well, we need to look at and acknowledge all the ways we are impacted. So, one of the first ways we're really impacted is this juggling act that we tend to do. Again, we've got research, we've got teaching, we've got committees, advising, grant writing, we've got students. It never ends. And we keep on juggling all these things and it just doesn't stop. But we have this illusion, not just within our own institution, but the public illusion of higher education of flexibility. We set our own hours, but that often means work bleeds into everything that we do. So we need to be careful. We also have what's known as the passion trap, which we love what we do, which makes it harder to set boundaries, right? Because we love so much of what we're doing, it actually makes it more difficult for us to set boundaries on things. And all of these things, the juggling act, the illusion of flexibility, and the passion piece, all of these can result in burnout, not just regular burnout, but physical and emotional exhaustion, which then impacts our effectiveness, right? It's going to go down if we're burned out. It impacts and really can often impact us by having missed opportunities because we don't have time for new projects or professional development. It impacts our students because we rush our feedback. We have less availability for mentoring. So we have to acknowledge that we have a lot of demands on us and that we need to be careful about what we do. So, how can we thrive in this demanding environment? Well, we need to acknowledge things that are time robbers. Okay? It's time is the one resource we all have in equal measure. Yet it often feels like there isn't enough time, right? Especially for faculty where the demands on your time seem endless. So in this slide, we're going to tackle some of those pesky time robbers and discuss small steps you can take to start regaining control of your schedule. So let's think about it. Socializing, phone calls, trying to do it all. Does that sound familiar? These time robbers can derail even the most organized professor. But fear not. By recognizing these time thieves, you can develop a strategy to keep them at bay. Okay? So first up, let's talk about socialization. We all need it, but it can easily eat up your day. So you need to think about setting boundaries, scheduling specific time for socializing, and sticking to them. Next, those phone interruptions. I noticed somebody in the chat earlier talked about turning off notifications. Well, turning them off is wonderful, but better yet, letting calls go to voicemail during dedicated work times allows somebody to leave you a message and allows you to check back in to see what the call was about when you're able. We've got instant messaging and text going on all the time, and it's a constant distraction, right? We see something pop up with a notification, and our mental state is just immediately to go and look. But set aside specific time to check for messages and turn off your notifications during focused work. A lot of times we'll get drop in visitors, and many times people have open door policies, but this can throw off your whole schedule. So set clear office hours and don't be afraid to close your door, maybe not all the way, but a crack when you need to focus, and have a note on the door that says, working, please, emergencies only. Let them know that you're there if they need you and it's critically important, but you're trying to work too. And finally, procrastination. We all do it, but it can lead to missed deadlines and added stress. And one way to get around procrastination is to break that larger task into smaller, manageable sets and set deadlines for yourself. Remember, time is your most valuable asset, so invest it wisely. Now let's talk some more about some strategies to help you regain your time. There's this idea of ruthless prioritization, and it basically states that it's called the 80-20 rule, and it focuses on the 20% of tasks that yield 80% of the results. Let me say that again. It focuses on 20% of the tasks that yield 80% of the results. The 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle, is a powerful concept that can revolutionize how you approach time management and productivity. Again, 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. This means that a small portion of your tasks and activities are responsible for the majority of your success. So let's talk about some key points regarding this rule. There's this idea of unequal distribution, and it highlights the unequal relationship between inputs and outputs. Not all tasks are created equal, and some have much higher impact on your overall goals. You're going to want to identify a vital few. The challenge lies in identifying 20% of the tasks that are truly critical. These are the tasks that generate the most significant results as you move closer to your objectives. You want to prioritize relentlessly. Once you've identified a vital few, focus your time and energy on them and really resist the temptation to get bogged down into the 80% of the unimportant tasks or less important tasks. Finally, you want to think about delegation. Who else could do this? And you want to maximize your efficiency. So let's talk about applying the 80-20 rule. First, you're going to want to track your time. You want to keep a detailed log for a few days to identify how you're currently spending your time, because you need to see what you do now in order to make a change for later. Then you want to look and analyze those activities, right? Look for patterns and identify tasks that generate the most important and significant results. These are your 20% tasks, right? Next, you're going to create a priority list. You want to rank those tasks that you're working on based on their impact and importance, and make sure that a vital few are at the top of your list. You want to keep your focus on that 20% so that you devote the majority of your time and energy to the tasks that have the greatest impact on your goals. And that's really the hardest part, I think, is really figuring out what is that 20%. But fear not, because one of the great things about this rule is that you regularly review and prioritize and adjust them as needed to ensure you're focusing on the most impactful activities. What's super important today may not be super important next month. So you've got to very often look at this list and review and adjust to meet your needs. Another strategy here is called rock, pebbles, and sand. So once you get that list that you need to prioritize, you're going to want to really set realistic goals and break up the larger tasks into smaller ones. In order to invest our time wisely, we need to remember that we only have so much time to do what we need to do to get things done. We have to make sure that we're looking holistically at the pebbles, the middle part, items of average importance, the sand, tasks that are less important, and those big rocks, those big important tasks, and thinking through how we prioritize and break them up. Just remember, we're not getting any more time in the day, well, unless you move to an outer planet. So the next section will help us think about some tips to help us with managing our time and improving efficiency. So once again, I call out to Nedrick Lover Tawwab, who reminds us that good is good enough and that 80% is still passing. She provides us with a great example to consider here. Think about it. Sometimes when we're doing laundry, you have to remind yourself that the clean clothes pile is okay sitting there in a basket somewhere. We all have gone and dug around to find those socks that we want, but we know they're clean. And having clean clothes is an important thing. What's less important, maybe? Folding those clothes and putting them away. Well, that might be a task because of how busy you are for another day or 2 days from now. But at least you have the clean clothes, which is what you need immediately. Again, folding them and putting away, that could be for another day. But getting them clean, that's the important task, right? So, how do we balance things along with actually living our lives? A lot of times people will say, I am creating a to-do list. And we caution you to think of this more as an idea of a do list. The items on your to-do list are not set in stone, unless, of course, there's a deadline. Otherwise, it's a suggestion. It's a list of things you could do today, but maybe you could do them tomorrow or the next day. So thinking about that laundry example, right? The clothes are clean. I had to get them clean. Folding them, and that may not happen till Wednesday because that's when I have time. You also want to distinguish between a crisis versus a nice to do. When things come up, put them in their proper place and ask yourself reflectively, is this something you need to address right now, this instant, or even today? You also need to figure out what feels reasonable and healthy for you. Everybody has different limits. Do you need to not take an early or late day meeting in order to keep on your gym schedule? Can that meeting be done at a different day or time? If the meeting has to be on that time, could you do a walking meeting? Consider ramifications to you and your health and try not to push so much into one day, but also try and take care of yourself. So going back to that 80-20 rule, the benefits on focusing on that 20% really have shown in research increased productivity, that by prioritizing the most impactful tasks, you can achieve more in less time. It's also been shown to reduce stress. By focusing on the vital few, you can help avoid feeling overwhelmed and stressed by this long to-do list. You can improve your results by directing your energy towards the most important activities, and you'll see better results and make faster progress towards your goal. And finally, there's the sense of greater satisfaction by achieving significant results, which can lead to increased motivation and satisfaction. Remember, this 80-20 rule is a guideline. It's not a rigid law. The exact ratio may vary depending on your specific situation, but really the key is to identify and prioritize tasks that have the greatest impact on your success while focusing on a vital few that you can unlock your full potential to achieve these extraordinary results. Another strategy to continue and probably consider using is your Google Calendar. I know a lot of people, and I saw in the chat, talked about using their calendar, but I also know a lot of people don't. We have access to our Google calendars here at USIS, or our Microsoft calendars, or our iCalendars. Whatever you use them religiously. Set aside times for work in your schedule. Your calendar has multiple functionalities beyond just a meeting. It has features such as events, tasks, and reminders, which can support you in your time management in various ways. We're going to be putting some links and help guides for making the most out of Google and Microsoft calendars in the chat. So be sure you copy these and put them on a document somewhere so you can go back and look at them. But I want to be sure I'm being really clear on some of the calendar benefits. Your calendar is providing you this wonderful visual overview, and it provides clear and comprehensive representation of your schedule, allowing you to see your appointments, your commitments, and your deadlines at a glance. And this is going to help you understand your time is allocated and really help you see where things maybe are in potential conflicts or overlaps. The collaboration and coordination provided by a calendar allows you to facilitate work with others. You have team members who can view each other's schedules and avoid conflicts and schedule meetings more efficiently. If everybody were to use their calendar in a proactive manner, you can actually look at each other's schedules and schedule a meeting without having to look at a doodle poll or ask for times and go back and forth. And if you're in a shared calendar workspace, allowing others to see when you're available may stop them from popping in or wasting time with several back and forths in order to do that meeting. So I highly suggest that you consider using your calendar and sharing, if not the specifics, just your free and busy time so that people can schedule time with you and see when you're available. Calendar also enables you to plan your days and weeks and months in advance. By scheduling your tasks and appointment, you can proactively manage your time and ensure that you have dedicated time for important activities. And it also allows you to prioritize tasks and allocate time for those important ones. It also supports you in avoiding procrastination because you have something on a calendar that ensures that critical deadlines are met. And while we can't completely get rid of stress and anxiety, it can reduce the stress and anxiety because we know what to expect and have a structured schedule that allows us to stay in control and organized. It leads us to improved mental well-being. Again, I really want to push this calendar benefit. You can see the color coordination in this calendar. Using color coordination for your events is also going to help you see who's taking up all the time, what type of event, and using that color coordination will help you keep track of what you're doing as well. Some other calendar benefits are improved productivity. Effective time management facilitated by a calendar leads to increased productivity by focusing on the right task at the right time and can help you accomplish more in less time. It also allows you to set goals and track your progress. Just as I said earlier, you can schedule time towards working towards your goals and monitor your advancement over time. The reminder and notification pieces that are found within almost all calendars ensures that you don't forget important appointments or deadlines. This helps you stay track and avoid missed opportunities. While the calendar provides structure, allowing you to see everything in its place, it also provides flexibility because you can easily reschedule and adjust your plans as needed, accommodating those unexpected events or changes in priority. And finally, modern calendars are readily accessible on many devices, including smartphones, tablets, and computers. This allows you to manage your time and stay organized wherever you are, providing increased accessibility and convenience for you. Overall, using a calendar is a powerful tool for time management. It promotes organization, prioritization, and productivity, leading to more fulfilling and balanced life. So the next strategy to consider is time blocking. Again, thinking about your calendar. When using your calendar, remember to schedule specific blocks of time for different types of work. So you're going to do this thing called strategic scheduling and blocking out dedicated time for each type of activity. As I said earlier, use color coding, like in your patient charts, to visualize your schedule. Time blocking forces you to make these concrete plans that ensure you're working towards your goal. So another thing to remember in the use of your calendar is to protect prep time. Schedule short breaks before and after teaching sessions to mentally transition and gather your thoughts. Schedule meetings for 50 minutes rather than an hour so that you have time in between meetings to regroup and take a comfort break, right? How many times have you had a meeting that went from 11 to 12, and then at 12 o'clock you got another meeting, but you need a comfort break? So now you're 5 minutes. So consider looking at 50-minute blocks instead of a full hour, both for your own health as well as others. I know in the chat earlier, somebody wrote the Pomodoro technique. It's another strategy for managing your time, where you work in 25-minute bursts with short breaks in between. You choose a task and a single task to focus on during this 25-minute burst of work. So you set a timer, and this is based after those lovely tomato timers you used to see in people's kitchens. So set the timer for 25, 30 minutes, work on the task until the timer goes off. Then take a short break, 2, 5, maybe even 10 minutes. And then you go back and you repeat steps 1 through 4 times. Take a longer break after 4 of these techniques of maybe 15 to 30 minutes. The Pomodoro technique can be useful for many activities, including writing, coding, design, studying, and repetitive work. Some say it's especially helpful because it provides a clear way to measure time and recognize progress. Others say it's effective because it helps people establish routines and consistent work habits, which can help avoid cognitive bias and keeping your brain engaged. So one of the hardest strategies to implement that I'm going to provide you is saying no strategically, right? It's okay to decline a request that don't align with your goals. You can either send the requester to another person or ask them if it can be done at a more convenient time. But really strategically saying no not only helps you, but helps the person asking to understand that it's not possible. Another way of saying no without actually saying no, right, is the power of delegation. While you may not be able to say yes immediately, check with your team and capitalize on their strengths so that you can say yes, but maybe with somebody else doing the work. Again, I want to be sure that you remember to check in with your team to ensure they are prepared for the case and can support before actually saying yes. So you may want to say, if somebody asks you for something, hey, let me check into that and see who may be available to do it. You're not saying no, you're trying to get to yes, right? And you're helping them understand that while you may not be able to do it, well, you're actually not saying no, you are trying to help them get the actual yes that they need for that task. Also consider beyond your calendars leveraging AI and technology. Use large language models like Gemini to brainstorm ideas, create a draft of something, or learn a new skill to streamline your work. Use technology to automate your tasks. Many email programs offer scheduled sends, Gmail does as well, so that you can write today when you have time and automatically send it out later. As I've stated many times, use calendar tasks to remind you to help organize your work and document it when it's completed. And also remember that many virtual meeting spaces like Teams and Zoom and Google have note-taking ability now. Update the notifications on Google Docs so that you get information when documents are updated and commented on. This is going to help you know when things change. Going back to those time robbers, do not forget that you can mute, mark yourself away or unavailable in most instant messaging and text functions. I also heard a great rule that I want to share with you. If you've written more than a few consecutive text messages or instant messages, you might want to save some time here and just pick up the phone and make a call. It's going to, in the end, save you time from having to type back and forth and wait for people to compose their thoughts. So don't forget, we still have that phone that you can use to get messages out quickly. A couple of other things to consider in terms of strategies. You want to find your flow, and that doesn't happen by being here and being there. So creating a dedicated workspace that's free of distractions, that's ergonomic and comfortable, has good lighting, is going to help you actually get through your tasks. As we've stated many times, you need to manage your interruptions. So set those office hours. Maybe close your door 3/4 of the way with a note on it saying working, but please stop in if it's an emergency. Otherwise, I'll be available at X time. Turn off your notifications on your phone and instant messaging. Schedule focus time on your calendar. I can't overemphasize how important that is. I have times that I schedule in advance for reviews, for me, not just meetings, but for me to review a document, for me to go and do some coding or research. Those are times I block off so that, as important as it is to me, I have it in my calendar as one of that 20%. And let's be clear, multitasking is difficult, especially to do it well. A lot of people think multitasking is this great, big, wonderful thing, but what research is actually showing is that multitasking actually doesn't work in high impact products. So try focusing on one thing at a time. Don't forget when you reach a milestone to take care of yourself and reward yourself. Celebrate even small wins with a reward. I love chocolate, so a piece of chocolate. A snuggle with my dog is a great reward for me. We're taking a walk. Whatever brings you joy, be sure to celebrate it for yourself. So let's take a minute and talk about how time management actually links with self-care, because self-care is a vital sign of time management. And let's talk about what that means. There are a number of ways you can recharge at work. You can eat away from your desks. You can do walking meetings. You can stand instead of sitting all day. Take stretch breaks, get some fresh air. All of these suggestions can help you recharge and tackle tasks with a new lens. If you're just going from one task to another, your lens becomes a little clouded. So be sure you're doing some recharging after a task. Self-care. We've all heard our flight attendants say, put on your mask before helping others. And self-care is the same. You need to take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else. So don't neglect things like sleep, exercise, outside hobbies, and relaxation. Maintaining energy and focus can help prevent burnout. And taking care of yourself really does improve your productivity. Consider engaging in some mindfulness moments. Encourage brief mindfulness exercises throughout the day to reduce stress and improve your concentration. Remember that time management is an ongoing process, so you need to be kind to yourself. Taking breaks does not equal slacking or laziness. It's healthy, and we need it to recharge. Our community and connection is important. We need to be aware that during this time of hybrid and remote work that we can tend to isolate ourselves. So think carefully about how you're building connection and community with your coworkers. Remember, I talked about that walking meeting earlier? It's a great way to establish relationships and connections with others, and it can even be done virtually. So we've talked about a few self-care strategies. Now let's take some time to reflect and share. How do you engage in self-care currently, and how might you change your self-care options after what you've heard today? So I want to read a little scenario for you. Dr. Turner is known for her dedication to her students and work. However, as she takes on more teaching, administrative tasks, and research tasks, she's finding it harder to get everything done. And she often finds herself working for up to 2 hours at home after the workday, or eating lunch at her desk while she works. Her department chair just reached out to her to take on a leadership role in a committee, but she barely has any time as it is. Now that you've been through this session, and if Dr. Turner had come for you for advice on how to deal with this new request, what would you recommend? So I want to take a minute and wrap up here to say you are in control of your time. And investing in time management now will help you reap rewards for years to come. Please don't be afraid to ask for help, from mentors or colleagues at your institution. And a final reflection here for you to consider. I'm not going to read it to you, just take a second. Thank you for watching today's Teaching with Technology Brown Bag session. You can view all Teaching with Technology Brown Bags on the USU YouTube channel under the full ETI playlist. Have a nice day.